And I step into that and I get out of the car with that energy, because that energy is what is the difference maker.
Amen.
What's the alternative? Make phone calls on the way to the appointment. That's a great way to kill your energy. Call clients back, check your voicemails, call the listing back on the way to the appointment. That's a terrible use of energy. You should do nothing on the way to the appointment, but spend time on yourself, getting ready for that presentation, because you're about to step on stage. You got to leave that house with the paperwork signed. You've worked too hard to be here. This isn't practice. This is how we get paid. We have to convert them.
Yeah.
So we have to have confidence. And that's what it takes, y'all, to put signs in the ground.
World-class lessons from the real estate industry's top 1%. Empowering agents to think bigger and do more to create life by design. Get access to exclusive interviews with top producing real estate professionals. Listen in as we talk about their journey into business, best practices, and lessons learned. Hosted by KIRO, NASRALAH, and John Scipione.
I mean, one thing that we always say in our office is just action is better than perfection, right?
This is Light It Up with Lighthouse Residential.
All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Light It Up podcast. We are super excited to have with us a huge mentor to both myself and KIRO, although he probably didn't know it yet until today. Right. He is the author of the book Listing Boss. He's been in real estate now 20 years, and he is most well known for being a real estate sales coach and trainer. Created some of the most successful tools in the real estate industry today. Super excited to have with us today, Haas Pratt. Thanks so much for being here, man.
What's up, John and Kira? How are y'all doing?
We're good, man.
I just want to add, best-selling author of The Listing Boss. And John, when he says mentor, there you go. That's the book right there. Whenever we were thinking about different ideas of what to do, John would be like, "Where's the book? Where's the book?" And it was always Listing Boss book.
It's one of those books that I'm not the nerd that does this, but I've got it highlighted. I've got tabs in there, and even when we were in this studio trying to do some of those YouTube videos with our services, right? Mm-hmm. The communication guarantee. Some of the other services
cancellation guarantee, the sell by owner guarantee, the all those guarantees. We looked into your book for additional ones, so we're very grateful for that. So we're excited as hell to jump right into this.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Great. It's great to be here, you guys.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we're gonna interrogate you first with some icebreakers or some lightning round questions that have nothing to do with real estate.
It is Friday, and we do like to have a little bit of fun here, just to get to know you a little bit better, other than real estate. So we'll dive in. What habit would you like to break, Haas?
Man, I love questions like this.
Me too.
Man, I'm always breaking habits. I'm a habitual person, so I'm always weeding the garden. I can't sit too long on a habit because it'll take over the garden. So for me, I'm always weeding the garden. I grew up on the other side of the tracks, man, on the other side, meaning the things that I've experienced and things that I've had to go through are where I'm from, I saw it all, right? So it's being cautious of what habits are good for you. One habit, is it a bad habit, I guess, that I would want to break? Man, that's a good question. The habit of being a little bitch, and I want to get in cold water, bro. Okay. I know I need to get in cold water, but man, I'm scared of it. I hate cold water. And it drives me nuts every day knowing that. And I let that little bitch in my head win. I'm like, yeah, it's too cold. I can't do that. And I want to break that habit. I want to create the habit of getting in ice cold water first thing every single morning. And because I know the benefits. Everybody that I know that does it changes their life. So I'm working on that habit.
You did the cold plunge, right?
I did the cold plunge in Florida, and I've been doing the 30-second showers, which is, I count so fast. I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as fast as I possibly can. But you feel amazing for the rest of the day when you do that.
Are you doing it right after you go in the sauna?
No, so it's just I'm just in the morning, hot shower just to wake me up, because especially when you have 3-4 hours of sleep.
Cold shower.
Yeah. that the 30 seconds changes everything for the rest of the day.
Yes.
And you feel like a boss because you're torturing yourself.
That's right.
So it's,
But I wrote the book, boss, and I'm not being a boss. I'm being a little,
I'm going to hold you
a
accountable.
little conflict there, y'all. We're working through.
Right.
Oh, this is a different category, so you're allowed.
All right.
Yeah.
Next question. Have you ever been fired?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
I haven't. I've been self-employed most all my life, but there's been a few stints there where I would have a job. One of the jobs that I had in the winter, I grew up in Missouri, and I mowed grass, so I had a lawn service. And one of the in the winter it gets cold, so there's no mowing. I'd get a little job, so I got a job selling cars when I was like 17 years old, and I was selling cars, and I got fired from that job. And the reason I got fired was because I was buying the vehicles at my discount coming in, and I was selling them on the parking lot next door.
Genius.
I am the one, the way your son don't need a gun to get
And I did that a few times, and they didn't like it, and I got fired for doing it.
That's awesome, man. I love that.
Was that wrong? That you shouldn't do that?
I wouldn't do it now. I mean, but like
You
it's
go
a little bit shady.
a little further up the street, maybe next time.
Yeah. That was back then when that was on the other side of the tracks that I was talking about.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That was survival there.
That's so smart.
All right, Haas. What's your biggest pet peeve?
People who haven't done the work, and they want the stage,
Like that.
and they miss what it takes to be on the stage. Just because you can sell real estate at a high level doesn't mean you can influence and impact the industry. Meaning you can, but you don't yet possess those skills, and you may or may not have the right heart and intention. So like when people put themselves out there and they to as an authority and an influencer, and they haven't, and I see it because I had to do the work. I know that's a part that's required, and it's painful for me to see that. It's painful for me to see somebody even be overexposed and underdeveloped. These people will oftentimes, they can talk and they can get in the room. They can get the job, they can get the role, they can get a seat at the table for a minute. So like to me, it's that. It's like it's painful for me to see somebody trying to avoid the work and be somebody that they're not. And I can tell y'all within a tenth of a second whether somebody's done the work or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can see one video. In one video, I can see one ad, anything. I can see instantly if they've done the work. And like that would be a pet peeve of mine. Somebody that's trying to avoid it.
So we can connect with you on that because we went to an event. We won't say the name of the event. And in this event, they had speakers on stage. And
This is where you're telling him this is where we met him.
Yep. So where we saw you in person. And there was people on stage talking about expireds. And this just comes to show that there's what you see and there's what's true. And you have to really, really, really guard your mind and find the right people to get information from, because a guy was on stage and he was talking about expireds. And there was a question that was sent in through like a prompter or something. And they were saying, well, how do you prospect expireds? His response was, well, expireds, you have to be the first one to call or you don't call them at all. And there's some validity to being the first one, but that doesn't mean you don't call them at all. So then
As soon as they say that, I know they've never done it.
Yeah, so then I turned to John. I'm like, this pisses me off.
And furthermore, he was like, only the recent expires are the good ones. You can't call the old list. And it was just odd.
Yeah.
But that same day, we switched rooms.
Yep.
We went into
This one pissed him off like crazy.
well, we were watching this guy and we're the kind of guys who are gonna, fight our way to the front of the stage. So we're sitting.
This
in
is
the
right
front,
before you spoke, so I don't know if it will ring a bell.
in the front row, and this guy was going up there telling people that last year he took 20 or 25 listings,
50 listings. He sold 50 deals,
all through text message, and
400 listing appointments to do 50 deals.
yeah,
He had a 12% conversion rate. He said.
yeah.
Never picked up the phone either.
Never,
Yeah.
but he said it with such like, and I have a merch business and I do this, that, and the other. And I'm like, get the fuck off stage.
And listen here, I mean, we could dissect that whole thing. And I think, there is something to be said about texting. Some people would prefer to not be called these days. But our whole approach, and
Everything
I think
leads
some of
to
the
the
most
phone.
successful people, and every path leads to the phone. Could you sprinkle in a few more deals by adding
nurture
text
campaign?
messaging to your CRM? Sure, but if it's your main bread and butter, I think that you should probably find a new bread and butter. But
I know the event. I know I remember exactly. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I'm going to get up there and blow holes all over this thing. Like, I had to follow up with that. But that's an example of like, that's not a model that people can follow. And like, and I don't know how true it is, but it's like what you said. Like, if you've ever done the work, that you don't say things like who I call or who I don't call. Like, that's not even part of that process, right?
right.
It's that. So that's what I mean. People can say, when you've done the work like we have, when one thing it's like, no, you've never done it, because if you have, you wouldn't do or say that or think that.
Correct.
Yeah.
But what's tough is in the world that we're all in these days is that it's not sexy to say that I was banging the phone for 4 hours this morning, or I got hung up on 15 times. Like, people want.
Or role playing an hour every day before you start, just to be able to get better.
That I practice my scripts every single day in front of a mirror, and that I'm handling objections.
Yeah.
People want to just be able to say, oh, I got 20 deals this year from Instagram or from DM or from YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
And again, I think some of those other avenues are becoming more and more valuable if done the right way, if navigated the right way. But again,
It's an add-on. It's
personally,
never-
I see it as an add-on.
Yeah.
I think on the phone, I think that with the phone, you have, here's why this is important. So for anybody listening that doesn't pick up a phone, scared of the phone, whatever it is, like, the reason that this is important is because you have to have the ability to have a conversation about real estate. So if you don't pick up a phone, then my question is, are you confident in your ability to have a conversation with a buyer or seller about real estate? Like, if a seller asked you, well, what do you do to market my home? Are you able to answer it with confidence? This is the thing. Like, and you have to have the ability to speak with confidence in real estate. And this is why, because the most powerful force to leave the human body is authenticity. It's authenticity. That's when somebody's authentic, like an authentic speaker. Like right now, I have goosebumps from my head to my toes, just even thinking and talking about authenticity. Because what authenticity is believing what you're saying. So you have to get to a point where you believe what it is that you're saying, to a point that you have goosebumps on your face. This is energy that I'm telling you that this is what's happening. The reason I have goosebumps is because authenticity is the most powerful force to leave the human body. It's energy.
Yeah.
And that's the secret sauce. The secret to the top achievers, the top people is they are authentic because they believe what it is that they're saying.
Yep.
And that produces the energy that supersedes all understanding. And so the reason I want an agent to pick up a phone is because I need them to be able to believe what it is that they're saying. And if they are scared of the phone, it's because they don't know what to say. Right? So it's like you have to do it, even if it's for a period of time. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, you may not have to pick up a phone and call expireds for 30 years. Like, I didn't do that I did it for a period of time. Right? Then I went on to the next thing. And that's the thing. It's not a forever thing, but it's a now thing. And it's a required thing because you got to have the words in you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The authenticity is important because that energy is infectious. And when the seller believes that what you're saying and they feel that energy, you're able to convince them that you are the right person for that job. And you can't do that until you have an understanding of what to say, because there's like the 4 levels of understanding, right? So until you internalize your scripts, you're going to be a joke. So that's why that commitment to the skill development is absolutely crucial, to have that conviction in what you're saying.
It's all about skills.
Yeah. Or you're going to be like a prompter, like a robot. But that's super, super important.
Yeah, I think it leads back to what we've always said is that, I think an ISA in your office is one of the most important positions, because if somebody can be an ISA or, just outbound call or whatever you want to call it, and you can do that continually for, on a regular basis, and you can learn those conversations, then you can, do that for 6 months, 2 years, whatever it is. Figure out then, if you can do that really well, you can do anything you want in this business. You could then go be a listing agent. You could go then show homes. If you can have those conversations, it's almost just like a hazing period, right?
It gives you confidence. How could you sell real estate and be the best? Like everything I do what I do to be the best in the world at what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like I think I am the best in the world at what I do. I work to be the best in the world at what I do. And like people are even today, like I still watch and listen to every single thing that I do. I will go back and watch and listen to this interview, and I will watch it, and I will coach myself. And I still do that. And people are like, why do you still do that? I go, because that's the game, man. I love growing, developing my craft, studying my craft. And and this is the thing that, even like as an agent, one of the most powerful things an agent could do is record themselves.
Yep.
Listen to yourself. Oh, you're scared to? Then let's get over that. Why do you think, the best athletes watch game film? They're watching themselves, their motions, their movements, their thoughts, their actions. And you can see you can see it differently when you're listening to it or watching a film than you were when you're in it.
Yeah.
So if you listen to yourself on the phone, you're going to hear the same exact things I would hear.
Totally.
And you're able to instantly correct it because it creates a little pain. You're like, ooh, that sounds, and you can change it. And this is what people need to do is they need to go to work on themselves. They need to coach themselves. They need to be their best coach. You are your best coach. So study yourself, right? And inspect yourself and be real with yourself. Be real with yourself. Don't be, sugarcoating it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think even just us doing this podcast, I'm not going to pretend that we've got it all figured out, but now we're on episode 40 or something. I watch the episode back. It's just like recording your listing presentation or your presentation for a buyer. You watch the episode back and I'm like, dude, I'm talking over you. You're talking over me. We're talking over the guest. You're not listening to the answer to the question. Your voice sounds horrible. You sound tired. I mean, there's a million ways to tweak it. Like you said, you're your own biggest critic, and there's always things we can be refining. So I think that's a really good tip. Record whatever it is that you're presenting, and you can always be refining.
Yeah. You have to realize that the camera, the show starts the moment, for instance, if you're going to a listing presentation and it's not a call, because Haas, you talk about this in your book too. The camera, the movie starts the moment you park right outside the house, right? Yep. And everything you do leading up into that house and going even into the house. I know, Haas, you talk about asking for a glass of water to decide who's the decision maker and take control. Take control. So that's power versus force. Those are the millimeter differences that makes the good from the great. And Haas, if you can talk about some of your experiences, because when you were in the business for the first 6 months, you did nothing. And then after that, you just blew up and you were obsessing over a listing a day, sign in the ground a day. What was that mental shift and how does somebody in this kind of market get to that?
Number one, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to. I didn't know any different. That's a big thing.
Limiting beliefs.
I remember every day I was going to the front desk and I was broke ass. And I was like, I ran out of money, and I'm like, every day I'm taking a listing and I had to buy a sign and a lockbox. And I don't remember how much they are, but it's over 100, $150 for both those things, I'm like
taking listings.
I had to borrow money from Jimbo, my mentor, for signs. And I don't borrow money from people, so that says a lot. If I borrow money from somebody, it's because I needed it bad. And I remember every day I was doing that. And I remember I had 30 days later, I had 30 listings and I never had been to a closing before. And I remember this guy reaches out to me. He's back in, it was a long time ago, man. He's a podcaster and he's an influencer. And he goes, I got to interview you. I heard that you have 30 listings and you've never been to a closing. And he goes, I want to know. And he interviewed me. I listened to that interview this week. I'll send it to y'all. You'll
Please
think
do.
you'll
Please.
get a kick out. It's when I was 23 years old, and I'm listening to this interview, and I've never been to a closing. I got 30 listings, and all of a sudden it just started popping, but to answer your question, the why is I'm like an old dog, man. I just need one thing, just one thing. If I focus on one thing, like take a listing a day, I'm going to get it. And it's listings. I've never worked a buyer in my life. I've never taken a deal from contract to close. I've never inputted a listing. All I've ever done is pick up the phone and set appointments. I'm a glorified appointment setter. I get paid a lot of money to set appointments, and I sold my business. I don't sell now, but that's how every agent needs to think. You're an appointment setter.
Yep.
And you set appointments, and everything you do and everything you spend is with the intention is to set appointments. You don't need leads, you need appointments. If leads are how you get appointments, but you don't need leads, you need appointments.
Right.
And every day you should be on an appointment. And you have control over that. See, that gives you freedom and power when you can control an outcome. And that's why I love for sale by owners and expireds. That's where I started. That's where I grew, that whole first year was all FSBOs. All 30 of those listings were FSBOs. Wow. Every one of them. And which to me is crazy. I still don't know anybody that has taken that many in a month. I really don't. And even then I didn't know any different. But there's one thing that you said about the listing appointment that I would add to.
Please.
The first step of the appointment is the most important step. And that begins the moment you start your car to head to the appointment.
Mm.
That's when it starts.
Self-talk.
Self-talk, motivation, energy. So if you're in my truck with me, head to a listing appointment, then I'm blasting music, bro. Eminem, you know what I mean? I'll be rapping. I'll be blasting some country because I listen to everything, but I'm rocking out, maybe some AC/DC, and I'm singing at the top of my lungs. And I got goosebumps on my face, and I'm freaking fired up. And I'm not thinking about anything other than fired up, and I'm going to show up. And I step into that, and I get out of the car with that energy, because that energy is what is the difference maker.
Amen.
What's the alternative? Make phone calls on the way to the appointment. That's a great way to kill your energy.
Totally.
Call clients back, check your voicemails, call the listing back on the way to the appointment. That's a terrible use of energy. You should do nothing on the way to the appointment, but spend time on yourself, getting ready for that presentation, because you're about to step on stage. Yeah. It's a presentation, right?
Exactly.
You got to drop the mic. You got to crush it. You got to leave that house with the paperwork signed. You can't miss this opportunity. You worked too hard to be here. You can't. This isn't practice. This is how we get paid. We have to convert them.
Yeah.
So we have to have confidence, and that's what it takes, y'all, to put signs in the ground, because sellers are looking for that.
Yeah, you're leaving the tribe to go hunt some buffalo, so you better come back with some meat. So
That's it.
That's essentially what it is. That's a really good point. Now, so you said you had no idea that there was a limit, essentially, or that's the way I took it. There was no limiting belief in terms of how it worked. Was there
no
anything
idea that there were other agents
that would do that much, or what the processes were? But what was there something that switched, in your mind as soon as you went on that podcast, and they were basically praising you for that?
It's crazy. I'm sitting there listening to that podcast, and it's I was saying the same thing then as I do now. And I was like, man, I've been saying the same damn thing for 20 years. In there, I'm talking about how important it is to have systems, being able to systemize your business, and to be able to separate yourself from your competitors, and being able to know what to say and when to say it. I'm listening to that. I'm like, bro, it's the same then as it is now. Right. You got to get your messaging dialed in, and you got to get to a place where you have a system that forces the work out of you. You see, here's the thing people miss. You won't work unless you're forced to work. you won't do it unless it's scheduled. So what I do is I have to force the work out of me. So I schedule it. I just do it. It's on the calendar. I set the date. And so now I have to show up for it. And in real estate, you need a system that tells you what to do every day. You got to call this person. This is the 5th call, 3rd call, 1st call, 12th call. You have your notes, and every day it tells you who to call. It tells you who to mail. It tells you who to message. It tells you. And that's a simple thing that can be fixed. And that's the one thing that makes the biggest difference in people, because now they know what to do. And I find that when people don't know what to do, they let other people dictate their time. They let their cell phone and their email control their time. And so this is for all of our listeners. You need to, especially in 2023, we're in a shifted market. You need to get on the phone. The ones that are going to thrive are the ones like us that you're listening to, the ones that aren't scared to call the people who need to sell and people who need our help. And all roads lead to the phone. Like us, y'all, we crush this type of market. Crush everybody. Why? Because we're doing what we talk about.
Right.
And there's no way around it in a shifted market.
Yeah. What are some things that agents in this shifted market should be focusing on? Obviously, in addition to the phone, would you say this is a time where people need to just get back to the basics and really hone their skills?
They need to master their craft. That's what they got to do. You got to become the best in the world at what you do. Best in the world. And that takes going to work on yourself. It takes doing the work. It takes being honest with yourself. But that's where we are. That's the economy we're in. People are they're craving skillionaires. In a world full of noise, people just want truth. They're tired of being lied to. They're tired of the show. They want the real deal. They want the authentic ones, the ones who believe what it is that they're saying. And so get to a place that you believe what you're saying so you can be authentic. And don't try to be somebody you're not. Be you. Be more of who you are. You're not me. You're you. You're better you than I am. So be more of who you are. And don't hold back. Give yourself permission to do it and to go for it and be vulnerable. It's your only chance. It's the only hope you have. Right?
Yeah. Of
putting yourself in the unknown in a place that you got to grow and rise to the occasion, man. Like what y'all are doing with this podcast, I know what it takes to do a podcast. I know, your heart of why you're doing it, but this is called ascending your skills. One of the hardest things, skills that I've developed is interviewing people. It's one of the things that never came natural to me. I'm good. Give me the mic. I can go for an hour, 2 hours, days. Right.
Yeah.
But put somebody in front of me and I got to interview them. I'm it was a skill and a craft I had to really learn. And I got a coach and I listened to every podcast I did and I got better, just like what you're saying. And I got good at it, but I sucked at it at the beginning. And it was hard for me to suck at something, right? Yeah, especially on a platform. So I got to get good fast. People don't watch the first episodes anyway, right? Yeah. They got to watch y'all's first episodes. That's, so now you got skills. And so here's what you do. Now you got skills and a platform and and that's that's where we are as a people is we got to ascend our skills. Like what y'all are doing here, one to many, going from local to global.
As you're talking about that, Haas, one thing that comes to my mind is you focus on your skills, you master your craft. And what we've experienced over the last 3 years is everybody got fat and happy with the market conditions and they got lazy. And the way you're talking is you can almost see the killer mindset in you is still there. How does someone not get fat and lazy and develop that killer mindset and continue to have it and nourish that and feed it so that way they can overcome certain situations like this in this marketplace?
Oh, man, this is a good question. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer.
I think you have to just have your blinders on and the market can't dictate how you run your business, right?
I'm thinking deep on a deep level.
Yeah.
Okay. I can answer it on a surface level all day. but on a deep level, like what makes me me, and what makes me drive, and what makes me think that way, and what makes me have that hunger, what makes me go for it, what makes me go against all odds. There's something to that makes that person do that. And so that's what when I answer that question, that's what I think of. Yeah. And you know what the answer is adversity. You know, it's the events and things that I've experienced that I realize that I'm alone. I have a lot to prove, right? Early on, this is what gets you started. You have something to prove, maybe to yourself, maybe to somebody else. You know, then you get to a point where you have nothing else to prove, right? So then you got to find a new why. Why else are we doing it? Like I've gone through all these seasons, you know, it's like I got started just to prove somebody wrong, then to prove myself. And then I did that. And then you get to a place, it's like, why am I doing this? I already accomplished everything that I set out to accomplish. Like what's next? And like, you got to keep going deeper at every level. I find every 10 years I do this, you got to go deeper and unpack again why we're doing it, because we achieved where it is we're doing it. Remind yourself, and you have to go. Here's what I learned. I learned that, you know, you get to it. People work to think that they get to this place, you know,
and like then they get to coast. Yep.
In your coast. And this doesn't exist. This doesn't exist. Like today, I don't have to work. I mean, I could retire, you know, I make enough money in mailbox money that I could just, you know, sit back. Like, and that terrifies me. Like terrifies me, because comfort is the enemy of conquer. And like to that boy that set out to accomplish something, and to that boy that was going to make his life one life fully lived, that's never going to stop. Right. And it's the comfort. So it's when you do get comfortable, it's you're gonna have to reinvent yourself. You're gonna have to do the work again, because you're never going to be happy not working ever. Yeah. You won't ever be happy not growing. Like you're going to be miserable. You can have all the money and all the time in the world. You will be miserable if you're not working and having a purpose.
That's powerful, because the Patrick Bet-David was talking about having like archives of all the childhood traumas or situations that happened, or whatever the case it is. And it does come up in certain situations right before you go in there. You're like, all right, watch this. And it's like, it's always coming in there. But that's
Goggins does the same thing.
Yeah.
David Goggins is the cookie jar, right?
Yeah, exactly that. Who's going to row the boats? It's like, it's constantly in there. But when you start making money and you're happy with everything, it's almost like you have to start dreaming bigger so that other people can doubt you. So then now you can actually push to try to prove those people wrong, and just keep digging in, just never stopping that cycle.
So what's driving you today? Obviously back then it was, you know, the listing game and building your listing business. What is it today that's getting you all fired up?
You know, it's got me fired up. I've already seen what I can accomplish by myself. I've seen what I can accomplish, what old Hossie can accomplish, you know, but in the last few years, man, I got God on my side. I got the Holy Spirit. I got him doing everything for me. Like I'm doing his work. So I didn't have to have it all figured out. Like, and when the people and the interactions and the things that I'm able to be a part of because of that, like that's what drives me, to experience the supernatural. Like that's what it's about. Where, you know, you call somebody because it's on your heart and they say, man, it's crazy, bro. I was just thinking about you. And I know in that moment, I'm like, I'm a vessel. So it's not about me. I'm empty. You know what I mean? Like I've already done everything that I can do on my own, what I want to do. Like there's nothing new under the sun. It's all chasing the wind. You know, like to me, it's that. I want to experience more of the supernatural, transformational conversations and interactions, because that's, to me, is like, it's amazing. And to do that, you know, I had to get to the end of me. And I think that's the thing that, you know, anybody that has a platform, anybody that has influence, like you gotta constantly be looking at the why of why you do it. You know, to be that authentic person is like, it's not about the money, right? It's not. A lot of people do this for what? Ego. You know, like you can't be about the ego. Can't be about you, because you know why? That's a weak mindset, right?
And people can tell.
If I get on stage thinking I did this and thinking I'm the one, like, and I'm taking credit, bro, to me, that's weak, bro. You haven't grown enough yet. You got a lot to learn, you know? And And it's like, that's the weeding the garden that I was talking about. It's just the self-assessing, the why and the drive. Because if you do it the right way and you do it for the right intentions, you're able to experience the universe and manifestation in ways that, like, you don't have to have it all figured out. There's laws of the universe that will go to work and help you. But if you're not in that right space, I mean, it's Think and Grow Rich. It's Napoleon Hill, right? I mean, you can go back. It's that operating in that space of manifestation, of thinking and not letting resistance stop you, and attraction and that, y'all. That to me is where it's at. It's not about attraction to me. It's about manifestation. You see, attraction is I attract. That's me. I'm attracting them. Manifestation is creation. It's creating reality. It's another level.
So, Haas, can you share an experience where you realized this was a thing, and where, I guess one of the biggest experiences you had with manifesting and being the vessel to others?
Yeah, it's like, it's the people, that I'm able to do business with, the people that I'm able to, to be around. I mean, people like Grant and Elena Cardone are my business partners. They're the best in the world at what they do. Tarek El Moussa, who's had the HGTV Flipper Flop show, big time influencers, so like, and what I'm able to see is I'm able to see how on a spiritual level, how even their worlds are just how there's things happening all the time because they have influence, right? And there's people that coming into our life and from events and conversations and like, it's like, for me, I'm able to help people on that level. And I know for me, it's that's important because I know that anything I can help people save their business, but as I say, I can't save your soul. You know what I mean? Like, and that won't make you fulfilled and it won't make you happy. Even if you had all the money and success, it won't make you happy until you realize that it's above you, to where you're in awe, you're humbled by it all. And like, and to me, that's the truth. Yeah. And I didn't always know that. You don't always know that. You come to that. You stick to the script long enough and you do the work long enough and you work on yourself long enough and you be around enough people and you see enough things and that's where you get to.
One thing, Haas, you said earlier, before we started recording, the goal was for you to get Elena Cardone or, the Cardones in general a year before it actually happened.
Over to EXP.
Yeah. How did that transition?
Yeah. So, and this is an example of what I mean. Like, in the beginning, as I tell people, I say in the beginning, right here in the Bible, right here at the beginning in Genesis, in creation, the very beginning, it says, then God said, let there be light. And there was light. It says, then God said. That's what it says. It didn't say, then God thought. Then God asked. It says he said. And so I got goosebumps on my face again because here's why. Like, I think about that, right? God said, let there be light. And I believe that there's power in spoken word and speaking it. So how I was able to take a listing, let's say a day, is because I said, hey, I'm taking a listing today. And I'm telling the universe and whoever's listening, and this is something that is real, that speaking, there's power in the spoken word. That's the universe will go work on how to make it happen, right? You don't have to have that part figured out. This is what I'm saying. So, and I know this. And so in the agent attraction game, I set out to build the biggest, baddest, most packed team of celebrities, influencers, and experts there was in the industry so I could equip real estate agents with a message and partnerships and alignment that they could take to their marketplace that would separate them from everybody else, that would give them confidence and energy. And so they would believe what it is that they say. And so to do that, we needed the best. And so, it started with, let's say, Tarek. I remember when I met Tarek, he was endorsing Listing Boss, and I was packing my suitcase. I said, Tarek El Moussa is going to join EXP. And my wife goes, he is? I go, yep, Tarek El Moussa is going to join us at EXP. And I just zipped it up and left. A year later, he joined me at EXP. And if you knew how it happened, it was like, it's the universe. It was doing its thing. Like,
had you known him at that time?
Yep.
No.
Yep. He was endorsed. He endorsed Listing Boss, and we did.
You said that he was
day.
endorsing it at that time.
Yeah, and but a lot of serendipitous things happened that I did not have control over, that led to that action of him joining. Same thing with Grant and Elena Cardone. I brought in Lisa Copeland as a partner. She's an amazing individual. You guys are probably going to be interviewing her hopefully soon. And I brought her to EXP, and she was sitting in my office in Dallas, and I said, hey, you know Grant Cardone, don't you? Because she was the number one female car dealer in the country. She was on the board of Chrysler, and Grant has mad respect for her, and she does him. And she goes, yeah, I know Grant. I said, he's joining EXP too. She goes, he is? I go, yeah. She goes, how? I go, I don't know. But Grant Cardone is joining us at EXP. And I spoke it. And here's why. Because I'm intentional about speaking it out. Right? And I don't need to have the rest figured out. But 6 months later, we had a meeting with Grant and his whole team. 6 months later after that, Elena's getting her license. Right, because it wasn't even Grant; it was Elena. We needed right, yeah. And so how it all worked out. There are serendipitous events and moments that happened in that year that there's nothing that I could have done to control that. Like was meetings and interactions that were we had no control over. Now they're here. That's what I mean. You want to know it, see it, visualize it, and speak it, and you don't have to think about it anymore. You don't need to plant the seed, and then keep digging up the seed and seeing if it's growing. Y'all want to know something crazy? Let me tell you something funny. Nobody knows this. Okay?
Get me excited.
Hit it.
So there's one guy. Like when we got Grant, it's like Moby Dick. I'm like, well, who's next? Like, who else can we get? And so there's one guy that I've been wanting to get. And this stays between us, okay? And everybody listening.
It's hard to top Grant Cardone, so I'm interested to hear what you're going to say here.
Yeah, so and this people that know me know this for 3 years. I've said I want to get the MyPillow guy.
Yeah. Wait, who's
the
MyPillow guy?
QVC.
Okay.
Mike Lindell.
Okay.
Mike Lindell. Okay. And I'm like, because let's just go see what happens. Let's just put it out there. And I'm like, let's just see. The guy's the biggest promoter. I don't know how it all works out, and so people that know me, they think it's funny. They're like the MyPillow guy. And I told Grant, I was like, hey, you need to get the MyPillow guy to speak at, 10X conference. And he's like, that guy drives me nuts. I can't even turn on the news without seeing that guy's face. I go, that's why you got to interview him, because he's the only guy that can drive Grant Cardone nuts by promoting too much.
But most people, you hate him before you like him, right?
Yeah. And so this is funny. So this is like years and years. And Elena sent me a text the other day, and she said, Grant's interviewing your boyfriend, Mike Lindell, on January 17th on Twitter Spaces.
There you go.
I love it.
So this is it.
One step closer.
These things have all get into work. So what you want to do, here's what I mean, is speaking what you want into existence. To me, this is what brings me entertainment and joy as an entrepreneur these days. I like to just see if we can get the MyPillow guy, see if we can get Grant Cardone. Let's just see what happens. It's entertaining to me. It's what makes this fun.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm being fully transparent, a couple of weeks ago, I said, let's see if we can get Haas Pratt.
There you are. You got me.
Right?
Yes. Dude, I mean, all you got to do is ask, dude. It's just got to ask.
But, I respect everything that you're saying. And to bring it full circle, I mean, before we hit the record button today, you were manifesting this episode. You were like, this will be the best episode you guys have ever had. Well, and I believe that as well.
I said that. Haas said, hell yeah.
Well, he backed it up.
Yeah, so this better be the best episode ever.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say, just to add on, is it's a declaration, because it's the way that you say it is not even just like as if it's just, being said. It's like it's a declaration. And
I'm here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, a couple of weeks ago, we had Matthew Ferry, and he was talking about when you make a declaration, the universe just has a weird way of holding you accountable and making it happen.
That's it.
And it's lovely how you're reiterating the same thing. So when you started talking about it, I started getting the ants in my pants and the goosebumps up my shoulders, which is insane. Thank you for sharing that, by the way.
People think it's hokey too, and I had to challenge you because I used to think of this stuff as hokey. Like people would say universe, I'm like, oh, there's that new age stuff, right? Your mind just goes there. Think about things your mind goes to. Oh, there's EXP again, the pyramid scheme, right? Like the people's, they just shut things down. None of us should ever get to a place where we react to anything that way. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. And one of my most exciting things for people to tell me is that they're an atheist. I love it when people tell me that,
Why?
I like it better than if they said, yeah, I'm a Christian. Because now I'm interested. I'm like, tell me about that. I don't react. If you say I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat, I'm interested. And this is where we got to get a place that we're we're unfazable.
Right.
We're so comfortable with ourselves and in our own skin and in our own authenticity that we're not trying to be somebody we're not. We're not judging other people, criticizing other people, sizing people up. Oh, look at him. He doesn't have, because this is what we do when we're judging people and comparing people. It's because it's our own stuff. That's why the bullies are the weakest people on the playground.
Yeah.
What do you do to a bully? You just go punch him in the face.
Yeah.
You got to be big.
What's interesting is that, 9 months, let's say 12 months ago, me and KIRO went to an EXP event, not knowing it was an EXP event. And our mentality was, shit, we're going to get, recruited and all this stuff. Yeah. And we left there saying, wow, that was we hadn't seen anybody want to collaborate on that sort of level and help you build your team and help you in all the areas that we all need help under one roof in a long time. So that was, a big eye opener for us.
It was a difference for sure. And just to tag on to what you were saying, I'm reading a book right now by Carol. It's about mindset. And
Carol what? Mindset.
There you go. Yep.
Fixed growth mindset.
Yep. You can't have a fixed mindset and be the kind of person that manifests things because you think it's just one way and it's the way it's supposed to be. And you're going to be too arrogant or too much an ego to admit when you need to learn something or do something different. The growth mindset is exactly what you're talking about, Haas. And that's why you would go crazy if you did nothing but retire, because you have to constantly be developing and growing yourself and weeding that garden, which is incredible.
But not everybody's like that.
But how does somebody get to that, Haas?
Get to where?
To a growth mindset.
Desire is the first place. You got to want more. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want more, then I don't know what to do with you. But if you want more and you truly do, then it starts there. It starts with the desire, and then comes a decision. Decision. The decision is you're either in or you're out. You're succeeding or failing. You're going to be that or you're not. And people need to get to a point where they have a desire and they decide. Because once you decide you're going for it, it solves a lot of problems. Because then there's no plan Bs. It removes all the what ifs and all that, because there is no other option. You have to. And you have to get yourself at a place that you have to.
Burn your ships.
Yep.
Burn the boats. There is no other option. And because in that wishy-washy, bro, nothing happens. Your human mind will play tricks on you. It'll start, there's so many things your conscious and subconscious mind that you got to know that you got to be careful with this stuff. It's real.
Yeah.
Your thoughts do become things. Your words are a weapon. And the words you speak and the thing, the thoughts are one thing. Analyze thoughts. I look at thoughts like clouds floating by. If I'll get a thought, I'll be like, that's an interesting thought. Where the hell did that thing come from? That's weird. It's not me. I'm not going to own it. I have a choice what to do with a thought.
Yeah.
It goes through that thought comes, and then it comes down to a decision whether I'm going to accept this thought or not. And then if I do, it's going to come out through spoken word. And then the spoken word is what seals the fate. The spoken word is what it's finished after you say it. You got to believe this, and it's true. In the beginning, God said, let there be light, and there was light. Period.
I love that.
It's a mindset, y'all.
It makes the world of a difference, and it's in the one thing, Haas, I know obviously being sensitive on time, when the first time you experienced it, that's where everything, you had the conviction that was possible to continue doing that. What was the first experience you had with declaring and it coming true and coming to fruition?
Like when I speak it, and
Yep.
the first time,
Yep.
back at, when I would go door to door, one of the first jobs I got in Dallas when I moved here I was a door to door salesman, and I would go door to door selling spa coupons, and spa $45 coupon, bro. I'd be like, hey man, I'm an ABC salon right down the road. We're inviting 20% of our neighbors come in or 20 of our neighbors come in for 90% off our services. And I had a pitch, and I would knock 100 doors a day, and that's where I learned everything. I learned mindset, thought, spoken word, negativity, positivity, drowning thought in action. I mastered sales at the thinking and at the mindset level and energy level from my door-to-door days as a 20-year-old. Because you experience things when you do door-to-door, right? Let's say if I knock 100 doors a day, I know law of averages exists, so I'm going to sell 20%. I don't know if the 20% is going to be, in the morning or afternoon. So if I'm at 3 o'clock and I have talked to 80 people and I start nagging myself out, dude, I haven't sold any yet. Oh, what's going on? Nobody's buying. I suck. You're done. You cannot bring any of those. You can't even entertain that thought, because what happens is your law of averages are about to kick in, and you're going to get those sales in the afternoon.
Right.
But if your mindset changes, you won't. And if you don't today, you'll pick up tomorrow. But the law of averages would always work out. And so I would learn not to think. I wouldn't think about, oh, is this person home? Or is this person there? Oh, nobody's here. I learned that thinking gets you in trouble in everything.
It's true.
And when you're doing that, because you don't know. All you need to do is just do. And it's the same thing with real estate. When you're prospecting, the last thing I want you doing is thinking. Last thing I want you doing is looking up, well, let's see. Okay, so I'm about to call this expired. Let's see. They've been on the market here. It's on, right?
You talk yourself out of it.
Bro, and you're over here analyzing something that you don't even know if you're right. And what does that do? That takes energy, thought. Your thoughts and thinking, it takes you off. It gets you out of the flow. I ain't looking up any lead until they say hello. I'm like, oh shit, hello, hey, yeah, I'm calling about your property. All right. I'm like,
what's the worst thing that could happen? They could tell you they put it back on the market. No big deal. They could also tell you they have 10 other properties.
Just knock, knock, ring, ring, next. And that is where y'all know this too. That's where we all are. That's where you get to that space where it's more uncomfortable not doing it than doing it.
Yeah. It's interesting. So every time I ring on a doorbell for a listing appointment, I don't think of anything anymore. And I'm just there. I'm just like, showtime, look at the house. Showtime, look at the house.
Showtime, baby.
I'm just giving them side profiles when they're looking through the camera or the hoop hole. But it's, Haas has been incredible. I know that
you know what I used to do, by the way, on a closing note, is I used to I used to carry my sign up to the front door and leave it up against the outside. I just post up my sign, right?
I don't know
whatever.
I don't know if it was in your book or not, but somebody was saying bring the lockbox and put it on the table.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Bring the lockbox in, put the sign out, man. Let's
call the day before and say, hey, just want to make sure you're going to have a set of keys available for me tomorrow. Just future pace the whole thing. Those are the things that I always found interesting.
That aggressive nature makes the biggest world of a difference with a motivated seller.
It's
people
assumptive.
don't realize that.
You're being assumptive.
Yeah, assume the sale, man. Come on now, get your sign out.
Haas, thank you so much, man.
Man.
Anything you want to share with the audience? Any closing thoughts or anything you're working on that you want to share?
Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I would do is encourage everybody they can go to my website, haaspratt.com, and I have a business plan on there, and it's a sick business plan that will help you get clear with what you need to do to accomplish your goals. It'll take you through a reverse engineer down to the action, what you got. And It'll help you crush your goals in 23. So I'd encourage everybody to go get it. Get Listing Boss, this book, if you haven't read it. This book will, this is the Bible of real estate right here. Okay. If you're doing real estate, you got to do what's in this book.
We can endorse that as well. For
Absolutely.
sure. That changed everything.
It won't save your soul, but it'll save your business.
That's the other book.
Yeah. Right? And if someone wants to reach out to you, Haas, what's the best way to do so?
Man, you could reach out. You could email Haas at HaasPratt.com, HOSS at HOSSPRATT.com. And I'm on social. I'm not hugely active, but you can message me on any social platform like y'all did. That's how I got here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. We really appreciate you spending some time. I think people will definitely get a lot of value from this conversation. And again, thank you very much.
Awesome, guys. Thank y'all for having me.